Sorprendente.
En 1948,
Una mujer descubrió un código para torcer la realidad a su favor. Durante 30 años, lo utilizó con un 100% de éxito. Ganó casas, autos y viajes, todo lo que quiso. Conozca a Helen Hadsell. Nació en plena Gran Depresión, una época de pobreza y desafíos donde soñar parecía imposible. Pero Helen tenía una creencia extraordinaria. La mente crea la realidad. Todo cambió en 1948 cuando leyó El poder del pensamiento positivo de Norman Vincent Peale. Decidió poner esa idea a prueba. Lo que ocurrió a continuación cambió su vida para siempre. Y puede cambiar la tuya también.
What do you mean by personalities you want to communicate with?
There were a number. Well, for instance, I read about Norman Vincent Peale, Power of Positive Thinking. I was very impressed with his book. In fact, he was the one instrumental in me getting started. When I first read his book, The Power of Positive Thinking, it's what he said: you can have anything you want, provided you know what it is, and see yourself as already having it. And when I read that, and of course that's in my book, the name it and claim it game, and I gave him credit. And I thought, well, maybe I'd like to meet him someday. Well, it didn't happen that I met him personally, but he contacted me, and he would write articles about me in the various magazines about my using his principles. And then there was a young priest, Dr. Joseph Murphy. And Dr. Murphy was a Catholic priest in California, and I think became disillusioned with all of the ritual, the priestcraft, and the things that we had was limited. And he asked for a sabbatical. And when he was on this sabbatical, he sat in a chair and he decided what he wanted. He wanted a 3-story house. He wanted it secluded. He wanted on the second floor, he wanted a room where he could tape. He thought it was very, very important to tape for P-taping, it's called. Personal taping, that's very, very, very successful now, programming. And the church did not allow that, and this is the reason he backed off and wanted to do his own thing. Okay, he was limited on funds because there were no funds available, but fortunately, one of his parishioners at a radio station and asked him to do a thought for the day. What is love, compassion, etc., and paid him a nominal fee. And Murphy said he used to put hot water in ketchup as for tomato soup. Just sitting in this chair, visualizing this place. And one day, it was about a month later, knocked on the door, an attorney, "Are you Joseph?" "Yes." And he said, "One of my clients has passed away and you've inherited her entire estate. Come see what you have." So Murphy gets in the car and they go up to the Hollywood Hills and this fabulous place. And he walks in the door and everything he imagined was there. And then he asks the attorney, "Does there happen to be a room upstairs with taping equipment?" And then the attorney said, "You were here, you know this?" And Murphy said, "No." He said, this is something I've always wanted." So he had his dream fulfilled. When I'd never met Murphy, but he was doing a lecture in Dallas at one of the churches, and he called me, and he said, "Peale said I had to come and meet you." So I'm coming out the house. He was about this tall and very dictatorial. And I said, "Well, okay, I didn't know him. I hadn't read anything of his at that time. And I said, well, why don't you come to dinner? Okay, he said, I want ground beef steak and mashed potatoes. And he says, I'll bring the wine, not the wine, but he brought something else. And we'll see you. My driver will be there. And he says, I don't want to small talk, nobody there. I want to talk to you, and your husband can talk to my driver. He's just like, he's just this way. So when he came in, and he was a delightful, absolutely delightful. We had dinner. Now we talk. So I went into the living room, my husband entertaining in the den, and he says, I want to ask you something. How do you think this came about? What is your perception on why I was able to accomplish all this? And I said, well, that's easy. I said, you sat there and you wanted this. And see how minds work. I said, this woman, you don't know her. She was listening to you on the radio. Here she had all of this stuff. And she had no one to give it to, probably to charity. And she thought, gosh, here, he sounds sincere, and I have this place up here. I think I'll give it to him. Okay, he picks up this thought. She's in her room, and she looks at all her appointments. I mean, her china cabinet with sterling and her paintings, and projects. I mean, he's looking. He picks up her thoughts, and he thinks they're his. You see? And all of a sudden, they communicate. They're just like one. And now he's aware, because when he walked in that house, it was familiar. It was exactly what he projected. He did not project it. She projected it to him, and he thought it was his idea. And this happens so